Views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello everyone. Welcome into Marc Madness Sports here on this Friday evening. I'm excited to talk with my guest today, Jackson Hunley, Sun Prairie West baseball player in high school. And Jackson, I know you're a senior and your team's had a good season so far, 7-4 on the season. And you want to kind of iterate more kind of on your team's season so far, 7-4 and coming off a nice win today.
Yeah, definitely got out to a good start, but hit a little bump in the road here the last week or so, but I think we're bouncing back, and I think we'll make a pretty good run this year.
Yeah, no, I think you guys will too. And Jackson, I know the two main positions you play are third base and pitcher, but you also play first base, and last night you played center field.
Yeah.
I probably not a rarity a little bit for you at playing that position. What was that like, kind of playing center field last night?
I've always played kind of everywhere, but this year I've kind of settled more into an infield position, and it was kind of a good feeling to get back into the outfield, track a few fly balls down, and yeah.
And I know, Jackson, you have a couple really good teammates on your team this year. Jaden Jung, I was going to ask you about the pronunciation beforehand, but the PA announcer last night answered my own question. So.
Yeah.
But Jaden Jung, a really good player, a senior as well, like you. He's on your team. Casey Wambach, a key player that's a sophomore.
For sure.
Trying to think, Julian Torres, your catcher.
Yep.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm missing anybody else. I know there's a couple other players that are key on your team, but Brady Rhodes too.
Yeah.
Starting quarterback of Sun Prairie West Wolves is on your team too. So, for him specifically, Jackson, what do you think translates for him being quarterback in football to playing baseball? I would think the strong arm would be the biggest thing. I know he pitches too, and he had one game where he had 11 strikeouts, so he must have been kind of bringing a good fastball that game.
Yeah, he has a really good ability to slow himself down and just relax, and I think especially on the mound, that plays really well for him. And even tonight he threw and got into a couple tough situations, but I think he was able to relax and battled through it.
No, that's great. So, is there any other positions, Jackson, that I haven't mentioned that you've gotten to play before? I know I covered a lot of them there with center field, first base, third base, and pitcher.
Yeah, this year I think that's all I've played, but last year I think I played 7 of the 9 positions on the field. So, didn't play center last year, but played left, third, short, second, first, pitched, and didn't catch. But yeah, played a little bit of everywhere.
So you got the versatility there. Great versatility, Jackson. And I guess pitching, I want to get into that. So kind of, when did kind of you really begin pitching and kind of your baseball journey? When did that really begin for you?
Well, my baseball journey, I started playing like t-ball around 3, 4, and ever since then it's just what I've been good at and what I've wanted to do. But I would say competitive baseball, like traveling around on a team, I think I started that around 9 and I've done that ever since. And started playing GRB. They're a travel organization out of DeForest that I believe I started at 10 or 11. Played with them up through last season, and yeah, it's just been really cool I've been all over the country playing baseball, really competitive, and yeah, I think that's had a huge impact on my career.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's an early age to start, 3 years old, but that's these days that's pretty common to see players start at such an early age. Jackson, what do you think your fastest fastball pitch would get clocked in at if you had a radar gun?
I know.
Or have you had any radar guns during games?
At least from recruiting, the velocity is a big impact. And so at most of the big tournaments that we travel around to, at every game, there's at least one or a few guns on you. And I think last summer I was up to 86 or 87 in a relief outing I did.
Well, that's impressive. That's impressive. That's definitely faster than I could throw a pitch, Jackson. I'm not even sure if I could throw it much beyond 63, to be honest with you, Jackson. I don't know. That might be about what I would get clocked in at. But anyway, what do you think is the greatest challenge of being a successful pitcher? I mean, there's a lot that goes into, obviously, pitching mentally specifically.
I think, obviously, the mental aspect of it is a huge impact, but being able to calm yourself down in big situations, especially like, say, bases loaded and big at bat, and just being able to relax and make a pitch that you want to make. Even if it gets hit, try to just keep making pitches.
And Jackson, how many different types of pitches can you throw? So do you have like a fastball, curveball, changeup?
Yep, I throw a four-seam and a two-seam, and then a curveball, slider, and a changeup.
So you have 5 pitches. So that's a big repertoire. Well, that's good for a starting pitcher because you sometimes need to break out all of them, don't you, Jackson?
Yep, for sure.
I mean, I know some hitters that if you sit on one, or if you start throwing one pitch a lot, they're eventually gonna. Good hitters are gonna figure it out.
I think especially I start for most of my outings. When you're seeing guys 2-3 times a game, you definitely gotta change things up.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I've kind of seen that even in some softball games where kind of a pitcher starts throwing a lot of pitches, fastballs a lot, and I can tell hitters, they pick up on it eventually.
Start to sit on it.
Yep, exactly. So is there anything else you want to share about pitching specifically that maybe for you or for some of your teammates that kind of maybe situationally or?
I just think the biggest thing with pitching is being able to calm yourself down in big moments. Some guys can fall to the pressure and it immediately shows. And just being able to relax, make pitches, trust your defense behind you, and I think that'll take a guy pretty far.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And Jackson, is there anything you like to do before games to kind of calm yourself down, or do you listen to music maybe sometimes before games to kind of get yourself in a good mindset, or sometimes maybe don't want to listen to music?
I would say, especially to try and calm myself down, I like listening to some music. But other than that, I kind of like to keep the team kind of relaxed. So I like to joke around with some guys just to keep the mood nice and light, because not everybody handles pressure the same way.
What's maybe your favorite joke to tell your teammates? Do you have one, Jackson?
I don't know if I have a favorite, but I do. I just like to crack off some jokes every now and again, just to relax everybody.
That's great.
I mean, in the end, it's just a game, and it's not life or death. So, no reason to feel a ton of pressure.
You guys, it's more about being fun, having fun, right?
Yeah,
than the competition, really. So, well, anyway, you have a first-year head coach, Quentin Travis. He's had some success previously at the other high school that he coached at. I'm trying to remember where he coached before, but he led them to some pretty good, successful seasons. What have you thought of him as a coach for you, and kind of what have you learned from him, or what are maybe things with your relationship you really have liked with him?
Well, I was one of the first guys to kind of form a bond with him. Just being a senior, I felt it was kind of my role to introduce myself and just start that bond as early as possible. But yeah, he's definitely got some baseball knowledge, and he's kind of the same way as me. He likes to keep the mood light, and yeah, I think that's taken us pretty far here in the early stages of this season.
And Jackson was at Rio High School that
Yes.
he taught at before? That's what I thought, or
Yep.
coached at. That's
Yep.
what I thought. It was Rio. I was pretty sure about that. But anyway, I know you had another great coach before Quentin Travis, Rob Hamilton.
Yeah.
I actually got to talk to him on the radio, actually.
Oh, really?
About a month or so ago,
Yeah.
interviewed him. So what do you see maybe similarities, differences between Coach Rob Hamilton and Coach Travis? And maybe what do you think maybe they both, maybe strengths for both of them even?
I would say they definitely don't like mistakes, and they have different philosophies with how they handle it. I think Coach Hamilton, he's more of a stern guy. He'll kind of get on you, but Coach Q, he'll get on you, but not quite to the level that Coach Hamilton would. But I think from my standpoint, I've kind of liked a little sternness, just because it makes you realize that you don't want to make mistakes, obviously, but to try and figure out what it was and fix it in the future.
Yeah, no, I think that's good to share that. Let me think. Kind of any teammates that you feel like you've really made a close bond with. I know probably your catcher, Julian Torres, is probably a player that you probably naturally kind of want to make sure you get a good bond with, being your catcher.
But a couple other guys, Casey, I played with him last year, and always just had a bond with him. Jaden, he hasn't played in a couple years due to a rotator cuff surgery, but I was interested to see how he would do coming back this year, and he's exceeded my expectations. So I've had a bond with him. I played with him a little bit as a kid, but had a little stretch there where wasn't able to play with him. But yeah.
Kind of any friendships you're probably going to keep with them, probably beyond high school, and even when you're in college, still make sure you keep in touch?
Yeah, especially some guys that are, I believe Casey, he will go on to play some form of college baseball. Jaden's going to play at Milwaukee. So definitely keep in contact with them, see how they're doing.
And I think they have a bright future, Jackson. So I'm excited to see how Sun Prairie West baseball continues to do. I know there was an article actually about Jaden Jung in Madison, Wisconsin Journal. I think there was an article written about him. And
I think so.
And I know they highlighted him and saying he was one of the better players in the Madison area. Would you agree with that assessment, that he's probably one of the better players in the
for sure
in the conference?
Yeah, kid swings the bat hard, and especially when he makes contact, it goes a ways. But has a really good approach at the plate, and again, he's kind of the same way as me, where he kind of likes to joke around and just have fun with it.
And Jackson, maybe what do you like most about hitting? Maybe what's something that you really like about getting up to the plate? And I mean, obviously, you probably like making solid contact.
Yeah. I would say I just like capitalizing on pitchers' mistakes. Like, if you groove a fastball early in the count, trying to get ahead, I'm going to try to do damage on it. And I think that's played really well in especially high school ball, but as you get up to a higher level, you have to capitalize on the pitcher's mistakes, and because that might be the best pitch you'll see in the at-bat.
You did a good job of that, I felt like, on Thursday against Janesville Craig. Unfortunately, you guys didn't quite win, but you did get 2 hits, and that one inning, you guys started gaining some momentum in that game. Got 2 runs across the board in the 6th inning, and at the end, I was like, you guys are kind of mounting a comeback.
Yeah. That's kind of been a struggle for us here in the last week or so, just getting them behind early, some mental mistakes, but I think we finally hit that groove where, yeah, we might get down, but we're going to battle all 7 innings and longer if needed.
And that's what you need to do
Yeah.
in baseball. You have to battle back.
Yep.
It's easy to get behind, and there's a lot of failure in baseball, Jackson.
Yeah.
I know from playing the game. It's good if you go 3 for 10, right, Jackson?
Yep.
So, I mean, 7 out of 10 times, or a lot of times 8 out of 10 times, you fail.
Yep.
So that's definitely a thing to remember about baseball for sure. Maybe I want to get into talking about kind of your high school career as a whole. So you've played 4 years. This is your 4th year now playing high school baseball. You had some great years earlier on in your career too,
Yeah.
obviously when Sun Prairie was one school.
Yeah.
You guys reached the state championship game in 2019, lost that time. And then you guys got back in 2021 and you won that time.
Yep.
And actually, I have a stat for you, Jackson. You pitched 4 scoreless innings in that game
Yeah.
in 2021.
Yeah.
And I think you had 4 strikeouts, if I read correctly. And
Yeah, that sounds right.
yep, 4 strikeouts. And you played Bayport, a team that you actually just faced this past year.
Yeah.
And in the quarterfinals, lost in that one, unfortunately. But you played them twice. You beat them once, and they got the better of you this last year.
Yep. Definitely wish we could have that game back, but obviously baseball, game of failure. And
Right.
Can't win them all.
And Bayport's a great team.
Yeah.
And give them credit for
Yeah, for
beating you
sure.
guys the last year.
Yeah.
And give them a lot of credit. They played really well. I think they beat you guys 4-2, was it, in the quarterfinals?
That sounds right, yeah.
And it was the quarterfinal round. I remember that. Because I remember I talked with Coach Rob Hamilton about that. And
Yeah.
he said you made the round of 8 and just weren't quite able to get
Yeah.
into that round of 4 teams. But
Yeah.
it's tough in Division I. I mean,
For
you,
sure.
you face a lot of great teams, and especially at the end.
Yeah.
Those are all great teams.
A lot of great competition in Wisconsin.
Especially in Division I baseball, for
Yeah.
sure.
Uh-huh.
Jackson, I want to kind of ask you a player that you've faced this season that you were really impressed with, that maybe was somebody who you think deserves recognition, maybe across the state, and somebody who you have respect for.
I would say I definitely have respect for a lot of guys. Most of the guys, especially around here, I've either played with or against, but he threw against us on Monday. He's from Verona, Jack Deteen. He's a junior, and he's a year younger than me. And coming back to GRB, they do live at-bats in the winter, and they don't have an 18U team, but they allow alumni to come back and just work things out in the winter. And he's got a really good arm, and he's committed to Xavier. And yeah, he'll compete every single pitch, and I think that'll take him really far.
In Jackson, a player I kind of wanted to ask you about was, I watched a couple of games of yours. The Madison West game was one with Santiago pitching. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah.
He's kind of like my size, but he throws hard, and he seemed deceiving as a pitcher out there. I think he was an impressive pitcher.
I've played with him for a couple years, and again, another really hard worker. And when I played with him, he was kind of middle of the road, but he's worked his butt off for the last couple of years, and it's paying off for him.
Because you guys were in a pitching duel in that game,
Yeah.
that Madison West game. I remember that 2-1 final, and I mean, really, other than the first inning for him, he pitched really great after that first inning. He really dialed in, and I mean, he was hard for anybody to hit against. I don't think not only your team would have struggled hitting against him. I think you put Sun Prairie East, who's undefeated on the season, and I think even they would have had a hard time getting many hits against him the way he was pitching that day.
Yeah, I agree. He competes, and it showed, especially in that game.
Yeah. So no, I was just another player I wanted to ask you about specifically, just because he kind of stood out to me as a player on an opposing team when I came to watch you. So, but anyway, I kind of wanted to ask you about Sun Prairie West. Do you guys have team dinners as well? I know I know I've talked to some other athletes like in lacrosse and some other sports, and they said team dinners is kind of a big thing. Is that kind of big for you guys in baseball too? And
Yeah, we like to have a team dinner usually the night before every home game. So we'll get together, and I think that it just forms the bonds that you need in any sporting aspect, but especially in baseball.
Favorite team dinner memory, if you have one? I know it's putting you on the spot here, Jackson.
I've had a lot of them through hockey and baseball, but I've always liked when every now and again we'll do a fight night and throw on the gloves and see who the better fighter is. So that's always a big hit for most of the team.
I like that one. I like that one, Jackson. That's good. I guess what ways can the Sun Prairie community support your Sun Prairie baseball team? I know through fundraisers is one way. You guys had a fundraiser. I actually did. I think that was the night I did the interview with Lucy. Actually, you guys had the Barachos Mexican Grill.
Oh yeah.
I think that night actually was the fundraiser for that.
Yeah.
April 5th, I think that was.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So I remember that was one of your fundraisers. Is there any more big ones coming up that are kind of like that one, or?
We do a youth night. I think that's coming up next Thursday when we play Sun Prairie East. But yeah, we like to mix in some fundraisers. I think just bring as much money into the program as we can, because at Sun Prairie, they like to provide the best equipment possible, and I think that definitely helps.
And Jackson, I actually wanted to ask you a question because when I played baseball, there was a regulation on the size bat, so you couldn't use something smaller or something lighter than a -8 bat. Is that still the case? I think -8 is like the lightest bat you could use when I was in high school, if I remember correctly. I used the -3 bat. I remember when I was in high school.
I believe once you get into high school, you have to start swinging BB core, which is your classic -3.
Okay, so maybe it's -3 in high school. Okay, maybe yeah, that sounds right, Jackson. That does sound right, because I do remember the BB core bat. My bat is kind of heavy. I have one that's heavy. Trust me, Jackson, my bat, if you swung that, that's definitely high school regulation. It's got some weight to it. I used a pretty heavy bat. I actually liked using that bat. I swung better with it for some reason. The heavier bat, I don't know why. I actually had better success swinging with that than a light bat. So
yeah, make contact, it'll go a ways.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely with that bat. I remember if I made good contact, it would go pretty far. So, but another way, Jackson, I know the Sun Prairie community can support your team buying concessions. That helps you guys out, right?
Yeah. I would say, come out to a game, why not get a hot dog, maybe some popcorn.
I got popcorn last night, so I bought some popcorn last night.
But yeah, and also just coming out to the games, at least from a player's standpoint, it's always nice to have some fans there, kind of just make you feel good.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to ask you. Favorite baseball player. I didn't get to asking you that.
Ooh.
Somebody you look up to and admire on the baseball field.
I would say this might be kind of a hot take, but Trevor Bauer. He's again really likes to compete, shows some flair on the field, and never afraid to voice his opinion. So.
No, I like that. I like that. I really like Christian Yelich, maybe being a little biased towards the Brewers.
Yeah, from like a position player standpoint, I would say Christian Yelich or maybe even Bryce Harper. But yeah, they can swing the bat pretty well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Christian Yelich, I mean, in that MVP year, boy, that was something else.
Yeah.
He was extremely impressive. So I was trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask you. Before the season, how much weightlifting and training do you do, maybe versus in season? Does that kind of change when you're in season, kind of how much you do maybe weightlifting and training versus off season, or is it pretty similar? You try to kind of keep a similar routine going?
I like to stay on kind of a 3 days a week. So I like to lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then especially out of season. And in season, I'll get more into try to get 2, but especially in weeks like this, we have 5 games this week, 5 games next week. It can become kind of a struggle, but just trying to get 1 to 2 a week.
No, thank you for sharing. I actually want to get into your commitment to Lewis University. Well, first off, congratulations on that, Jackson.
Thank you.
Getting into Lewis University, so you're going to further your baseball career there.
Yep.
And I know you talked to me off the air, so you're wanting to go into aviation, correct?
Yep.
Is kind of the career path that you're hoping to gain from the university.
Mm-hmm.
And for the listeners who don't know, it's in Romeoville, Illinois,
Yep.
Lewis University, and it's a suburb roughly, we're going to go roughly 35 to 40 miles southwest of Chicago.
Yeah.
Is what we're going with here. What made you decide, I guess, on Lewis University maybe over some other colleges or universities you looked at?
I think one of the big impacts was their aviation program that they have. It's a top 3 aviation program in the country. And from my standpoint, obviously that was a big play, but I also love the head coach there at Lewis, and excited to get to work with them next fall and see what I can do.
Have you gotten to kind of meet the coach a little bit
Yep.
and some of the players at all? Or?
I went on a visit late last summer, and that was enough to seal the deal for me. And just formed a bond with the head coach, and one of the players that took me on the tour. He was a great guy, and I think kind of their team atmosphere is just a great place to be.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. Actually, we'll get here to the fun question segment since we're kind of running lower on time. What's your favorite food? I'm going to start you off with that. I know that's putting you on the spot here.
A good steak and some mashed potatoes.
Good steak and mashed potatoes. I like it. What is your favorite music artist, band, or genre of music? You could mention any of those.
I would say I'm definitely a country guy, but an artist specifically, Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, any of those guys.
I kind of, Jackson, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I kind of pegged you as a country music fan.
Oh, yeah?
I sort of did. Even before going on air, I was like, I just have the feeling Jackson's a country music fan.
Yep.
That's just funny. It's funny. For me, maybe favorite type of music, well, definitely pop music for me.
Yeah.
I listened to pop rocks even before I came here today. Favorite artist? Boy, that's really tough. I actually was kind of jamming one day before going to a game. I really like John Mellencamp. So I was jamming to a little John Mellencamp. So
awesome.
That's an artist I like. I don't know. I like his music. So
Yeah, you can't go wrong with him.
What's your favorite movie, Jackson?
Top Gun.
Top Gun?
Yep.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Favorite sports movie for me, if I had to say, I think Remember the Titans.
Yeah, that's a great
It's a really, really great movie. But another one I really like is Pursuit of Happiness. It's just a movie in general with Will Smith. That's a really good movie.
Yeah, I think I have seen that one.
And favorite food, if I had to say mine, I'm going to say sushi. I really like sushi.
Yeah.
I know it's a little,
I'm a big
little
fan
unique,
of sushi.
but anyway, what's your favorite TV show?
Probably Family Guy.
Family Guy?
Yeah.
I'm going to say All American for me, or All American. I love that show. Another one I really like that I've been getting into is Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
So those are both really good TV shows in my opinion. Who's your favorite athlete, any sport?
That's a tough one. I'd have to go with either Christian Yelich or Mike Trout, probably.
For me, boy, I really like Jordy Nelson. I'm going to
Oh,
say
yeah?
Jordy Nelson. I really like Jordy Nelson, so that
Yeah.
I think that's my pick. What's your favorite subject in school?
Ooh, I've always been kind of a STEM guy, but I would have to probably go maybe physics. Yeah.
For me, it was history.
Yeah?
For some reason, I don't know. I was good at history, so
I would say history is probably a close second.
I liked history. So, well, you kind of already told me this one, but what career field do you hope to go into following high school, or is there any other career field you want to pursue?
I would, obviously, I want to be a commercial pilot, but if that doesn't work out, some sort of aviation engineer. And yeah.
Well, Jackson, well, maybe actually we have maybe a little bit more time. Well, I was kind of reading about Lewis University, so it's a Catholic university, and sorry, I don't even know how to pronounce this other word, Sorry,
Yep.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, kind of if you want to share a little bit about how faith and religion maybe has played a role in your life, and maybe how it's played a role in your athletic journey.
Yeah, I've grown up Christian, but I think I've always believed the Lord has a plan for you, and it's going to work out how it works out. And I think just putting my faith in Him and knowing that He has a plan, and all I can do is what I can do, and He has my best interest. And yeah.
Well, thank you, Jackson. Anything else maybe you want to share about baseball, your athletic journey? Maybe anything else I didn't really get into? I think I touched on a lot of things there.
Yeah. No, I don't think I got anything else.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Marc Madness Sports here on a Friday evening. And thank you to Jackson Hunley for taking the time to talk with me. I really appreciated getting to talk with you and learning more about your baseball story and everything.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.